I'm Tony Alexio, and this is this week's Minotaur Minute. What's going on in Iran? Well, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. He is the nuclear scientist that was recently killed. Iranians believe by the Israelis, by a remote control device. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. The only thing we know for sure is that this scientist is now dead. Iran vows to keep going on with the work he did. Now, the importance of this gentleman was that he was the guy that developed the nuclear program in Iran that so many people have been talking about and treaties have been written up for and stuff like that. So the work is going to be continuing by the Iranian government, by his staff, I suppose. Iran, as you can imagine, is pretty upset about this, and they're vowing retaliation, but that's probably not going to happen. So no, we're not going to see a war with Iran today or tomorrow, or even probably before the end of the year, even if after the next year, because the stakes are really high right now. Some could argue that this was a provocation by the West. If Israel did it, or if the U.S. did it, or if Saudi did it, and again, no one really knows for sure, they could just do it in a way to see if they could push Iran to give the first punch and to start a full-scale war in the region. I don't think Tehran is going to bite at that. I sincerely doubt it, because they know the cost is going to be really, really, really high. I suspect they're also going to wait and see what the new Biden administration is going to do and what stance they take in Iran. The direction Washington takes and how it guides, or how it suggests, I suppose, the guide Israel and its kind of soon to be new ally Saudi Arabia and the GCC. We'll see how it all works out, but it's interesting. But nothing drastic is going to be happening there for the next month or two, and at least I don't suspect they will. Drastic though, Ethiopia. Again, the civil war is kind of raging there, even though they're not really calling it a civil war. Tigray leader Debretsion Gebremichael is calling on Addis Ababa to stop the war. It's the nonsense has gone far enough, and you really need to end this. Tigray wants autonomy, and that's all they want Addis to give it. The president of Ethiopia, since they took over the capital of the Tigray region, has claimed victory, but the fighting still continues. The Tigray say, well, no, the war isn't over, so you haven't won, so we're still fighting. They said they got missiles that they want to use against troops in the Tigray region. They don't want to use it against Addis Ababa, because apparently that's off the table for the Tigrays. All they want to do is kind of clear out their area. I don't see that happening. Neither government finds the other one legitimate. The Tigrays don't think the central government is legitimate because they turned against the Tigrays, which created this whole situation, and vice versa. The government at Addis Ababa sees the Tigrays as a rebel breakaway group. So that needs to be subdued at some point. So nothing is going to be changing here anytime soon, it looks like. The problem there is that this continues, though, Ethiopia could very well become destabilized. This is a problem for two reasons. Number one, because Ethiopia is probably the most stable country in the Horn of Africa. One of the most stable ones, maybe after Kenya and Tanzania in Eastern Africa. But destabilization in Ethiopia will cause a domino effect throughout the whole eastern half of Africa. It'll embolden other rebel and tribal groups. It will do a lot of things that shouldn't be happening. So this needs to end relatively quickly, because this could be a big problem down the line for all of Eastern Africa. Finally, vaccine. Is it going to bolster the world economy? Well, the OECD says it will, but not as much as they had hoped. They had already predicted up until a couple days ago the world economy was going to contract by 4.8% in 2020 because of the vaccine and the potential of the vaccine and the hope that they may bring. They've revised that up now to only a 4.3% contraction in 2020. It looks like that China is going to be leading the charge in world growth. They're the only major economy that's 2020 is going to post any growth, which is about 2% or so, but they're poised to do an 8% growth in 2021. Conversely, the U.S. is going to shrink about 3.5% this year, grow 3.5% next year, kind of break even. The European Union is supposed to, economy looks like it'll be contracting by 7.5% in 2020, which is horrific. And they're really looking at about a 3% and change growth in 21. So they're still going to be in the red, even as vaccine rollouts begin. Why is China the one to push right now? Well, their recovery kind of started before everybody else. Of course, their contraction happened before everybody else. That's where kind of ground zero of the virus was. There's been some damage done to the socioeconomic fabric of the world because of this. And granted, there are many governments that provided stimulus and other things that help citizens, try to make it through this period, but not every government was able to, and even governments at war, not everybody was able to use the stuff or to get the stimulus they needed. So economic issues lead to political issues, which lead to changes at the ballot boxes or even revolutions. But that's a revolution's pretty far away at this point right now. At least even consider anywhere at this point right now, unless you want to consider something like the U.S. election a revolution, or if Orban were to suddenly lose in Hungary or whatever the case may be. But that's where the world stands right now. Anyway, that's this week's much more than a Minotaur minute, but hopefully good stuff. Anyway, take care. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.